Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Viva Film Podcast. My name's Anthony, and today I am joined once again by my real estate agent, Caleb. Caleb, I'm looking for a new house, preferably a dilapidated home right across from where you live, actually, and I'm going to haunt your dreams because I'm a spooky vampire.
Oh my god, he's playing his hand, folks.
Yep.
Wow. I no rats, please.
No rats. No.
That would freak me out.
I will leave the rats at home. I'll leave them in my coffin. That I carry under my arm like a little tote bag.
Yeah. There's a Rancid song about that.
About carrying coffins under your arms?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
It's a Django.
Oh, Django. Yeah. From the album Indestructible. I forgot.
Yes.
God, I haven't listened to that album in fucking years. It's been a while. Very cool. Caleb, how have you been? How have you been, Caleb?
I've been okay.
Yeah.
I've been working, dealing with... Oh yeah, because this is I forgot that we've been gone for a while.
We have been, yeah. We went on one of our many unscheduled breaks that we seem to do for the podcast.
One of our iconic breaks. Yeah. What was the last episode we did? Was it Star Trek, or have we done one since then?
No, we finished our David Lynch series.
Jesus Christ, yes we did. Oh my god. Yeah.
Which if you're listening to this, or if you're watching us on YouTube at the Viva Film Podcast on youtube.com, go back and check out the David Lynch videos that we did in honor of his passing, 1 year anniversary of his passing. And then also check out our Star Trek episodes too, because those are just as good.
Those are really good. Those are my favorite ones we've ever done, because I just like talking about Star Trek.
I like talking about Star Trek as well, but we're not talking about Star Trek on this episode, Caleb. On this episode, we're talking about horror. The horror of life. And no, I'm not just talking about what's happening outside my window right now. I'm talking about movies.
Yes. On the cinemas, on the silver screen, the biggest screen of all, the cinema screen. I was hoping that we could actually talk about Mortal Kombat 2 instead, because if you think about it, Mortal Kombat is a lot like Nosferatu in the sense that they keep adapting the same story. How many times do we need to know the rules of Mortal Kombat? How many times do you need to know about this real estate deal with our friend Nosferatu?
I'm always like, I've seen these films so many times, but like, I think because when you think of Nosferatu, you think of the guy with the hands, and he's roaming around the castle and he's sucking people's blood. But like, I always am, I'm always like reminded. I'm like, oh yeah, this started out as a real estate deal. Like, this is a dude looking for a new place to live. Like, so mundane. But I guess maybe that's a part of the horror of it all. Is that something as normal as just looking for a new place to live can turn into a scary movie. You never know.
Yeah, but not like scary movie, like a scary film.
A film that is scary, a film that is spooky even. Yeah, not the scary movies, which there's another one of those coming out soon as well.
Yeah.
Everything, everything goes in cycles. So
yeah, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's like, yeah, we're bringing back all the hits, everybody.
Oh my god, Steven's a ghost. Where is he?
I don't think we've ever mentioned Steven on this iteration of the podcast, so listeners are all...
We've mentioned him, but not by name.
I think we usually refer to him as our mutual.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I was just texting him yesterday.
Nice. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, I think he's fine.
Good for him. So, Caleb, the Nosferatu films, these movies have kind of become almost as popular as Dracula. Some may say even more popular in recent years. You are our resident vampire expert, as you are a huge vampire fan. You've even made a film about vampires.
I have a vampire tattoo also.
And you have a vampire tattoo. I do not have any vampire tattoos, though I do have a...
Get on my level then.
Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. I have a Bride of Frankenstein tattoo, which is foreshadowing for a later episode.
Yes.
Many episodes later. So it's on the schedule. But Caleb, what is your history with the Nosferatu films? Like, when did you first see them? When were you first aware of them?
So like a lot of people, I was always aware of. I mean, well, my like most people my age, my introduction to Nosferatu is the episode of SpongeBob.
Okay.
And I never understood the joke. I was like, why are they saying Nosferatu? I don't get this. And then obviously now I understand. It's like a classic film. And then whenever I heard that Robert Eggers was going to remake Nosferatu, I got really excited. And that movie almost didn't happen. And then eventually, like, I think I'm pretty sure I watched the new one first, like the most recent one.
Yeah.
I watched that one when it came out. Obviously, I saw it with you. And then like a week or two later, like in at the beginning of last year, I watched the original for the first time while I was in Santa Barbara, and I really enjoyed it. And then I spent like a year. I don't know what the deal is. It's one of the reasons I like doing the podcast is because it kind of forces me to watch movies I've been putting off watching. I've been meaning to watch the Werner Herzog one forever, and Shadow the Vampire as well. And for whatever reason, I just hadn't gotten around to them until then. But yeah, like, but you know, it's I was more familiar with like Dracula, obviously, and like because I love vampires, so like I was gonna get to like Nosferatu eventually. But, you know, I obviously had to watch other movies first, like Dracula 2000. I don't know, but yeah, I watched Dracula 2000 before I saw Nosferatu. So I saw all three of those movies.
And Queen of the Damned.
And Queen of the Damned, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interview with the Vampire, that is actually a good movie.
Interview with the Vampire, classic.
Queen of the Damned is not... But that's, but you know, I mean,
well, that's what I was talking about. I was saying Queen of the Damned is a classic. I did watch
Queen
it.
of the Damned is.
Yeah, I did watch it maybe a few more times than I should have when I was younger, when it was on like HBO or whatever. But
yeah, I have a really funny story about Queen of the Damned that I don't think I can tell on the podcast. We can edit that part out, actually. Me saying that if we need to, But Nosferatu is like such a classic, and it's also like it is an adaptation of Dracula, or it's at least inspired by Dracula.
A little bit, and we'll get a little bit into that after we talk about it.
Yeah, it's more obvious in the Werner Herzog version because he changes all the names, but in the original, it's like, especially since it's like a silent film, and it was like it really is well remembered as like being a kind of like trailblazer of like the horror genre.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's and if you've never seen, there's another great another one that I was thinking of is Vampire, that's spelled with a Y, the silent film. That's also a great one as well.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm a really big fan of. But this is like, I wouldn't say it's like the first horror movie, because if you go back, a lot of those early movies are fucking creepy as shit. Like, they're very unsettling, even the ones that aren't like specifically horror.
They are, and I think that it is kind of a I think it's like a byproduct of the fact that these are like black and white silent films, you know.
Yeah.
Or at least Nosferatu. I don't know which version you watched, but the one that I have is the Kino Lorber release, which actually I have right here. Definitely recommend this version if you can get your hands on it. But like, you know, that version has like the original color tinted film, which Murnau used. But no, you're totally right. Like these older films, like these older black and white movies, these older silent films, there is more creepiness to them. There definitely is. I think it's just like the vibe and the tone, you know, that you see in these films, just by nature of being, you know, silent and also taking their time too, which I feel like is something that a lot of movies in general, but especially horror films, you know, well, maybe not especially horror films, but just modern films, is that they're very fast, you know, a lot of fast editing, very quick pacing. And with, you know, Nosferatu 1922, it takes its time and it builds up that tension and that eeriness of being scary, I guess, you know. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think there is like an unsettling aspect of this movie, which I really appreciate and really enjoy.
Yeah, and it's like it's also just like watching silent films is really interesting, because I know we've talked about like a couple on here before, but not like a ton. And it's a very different experience from watching like a more modern film, because it's like you have to like, because the and I think I said this is like the performances have to be more exaggerated to carry the fact that you can't hear what anyone's saying, because you can't get like tone of voice, so you have to really work with like facial expressions.
Yeah, facial expressions, like body movements, you know.
Yeah,
so that adds to it as well. So good. Yeah, Metropolis, Bridget Helm has like wonderful control over her body, and then in this film, Max Schreck, when he's doing the claws, he's like, rawr, right? I really I really dig it. No, what you're saying is totally true and correct. I really like the performances in this film, especially from Greta Schroeder, who I like quite a bit as. What's her name? Emily? Ellen. Her role as Ellen is very good.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think this movie is like 104 years old.
Yeah. This movie came out over a century ago, and it almost didn't survive. Because, like as you mentioned earlier, this movie was heavily inspired by Dracula. Do you know about the lawsuit that happened?
Oh no, I actually don't.
So originally they were going to do an adaptation of Dracula, but they couldn't get the rights to the book. The Bram Stoker estate would not allow it. And so then they just kind of went ahead and made it anyways. And they decided, like, we'll just change some names and change some details here and there, and they'll never notice. But they did. And Bram Stoker's wife specifically was not happy about it. And they sued the company. The company that put this out ended up going under because of the lawsuit, and a judge ordered that every print of Nosferatu be destroyed. And they would have gotten away with it too, except there had already been a print that was made and sent to the US, and in the US Dracula was in the public domain, so they didn't feel the need to they were like, you can't, there's no copyright on this over here. And so that's how Nosferatu ended up being able to survive. But like, it is crazy to think that there exists a universe or a possibility out there that this movie could have been a lost film, which there are plenty from the silent era. We have really, great movies that are lost or fragments only exist. So we're very lucky, folks. We're very lucky that this movie exists. Because it is so good, and because it almost was completely wiped out.
Yeah, no, like that's crazy to think about. Like it's always so scary, like with the because again, like film first started, how like the idea of preserving it, people just weren't thinking of it in the same way that they thought about like books. Mm-hmm. So you do have all these films that like got lost or like got heavily damaged, and it's fucking awful.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's missing. That is missing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean. Do you want to get into it? Do you want to get into like the meat of Nosferatu 1922? Yeah,
sure. So we've got Nosferatu, which was directed by F.W. Morale, written by Henrik Galeen, originally written by Bram Stoker, cinematography by Fritz Arno Wagner and Gunther Krampf, starring Max Schreck, Gustav von Wagenheim, Greta Schroeder, George H. Schnell, Ruth Landschaft, Gustav Botz, Alexander Grange, John Gotthard, and Max Nemetz. I really need to have my laptop closer to me when I read these, because my vision is not that good to be able to see there. And the synopsis is: the mysterious Count Orlok summons a happily married real estate agent to his castle for a terrifying deal. Oh, real estate, the scariest crime. But... So one thing I also want to bring up before I forget is, so Max Schreck obviously plays Count Orlok in this.
Yes.
And but you might recognize that name because that's the name of Christopher Walken's character in Batman Returns.
Right, yeah. Because he's a vampire.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a manner of speaking, he is a capitalist pig.
True that. Nosferatu 1922. This movie stands up very well, I think.
Yeah, it does.
There's always kind of going back to like the whole, talk of silent films. I think the reason why there's a lot of modern audiences that don't watch silent movies is because they think they're boring or they don't want to watch them,
Yeah.
But I think that Nosferatu 1922 is a pretty good entrance. I think it's a pretty good entry point into silent films. It's pretty short, hour and a half long, and it moves pretty quickly, and it's a lot. It's very entertaining. It definitely is. It's spooky.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's spooky, and it's also a little goofy as well, in some places. But yeah, Nosferatu. What do you think about this film, Caleb? Like, what are some moments that really like stand out to you about this classic horror masterpiece?
I love this film a lot. I obviously, like, I'm a big fan of the scene. I think, like, probably the most iconic, or maybe it's not the most iconic scene in the movie, but I love it when he's just like walking around with the coffin, like, you know, he's looking both ways before crossing the street. It's very silly. It's like a great like comedy bit, because I think that's the thing I do like about a lot of silent films is like they will really embrace the absurdity of like what they're doing. Like, they weren't taking themselves too seriously, you know, like the new Nosferatu, he's not doing silly stuff like that, you know. And right. I really enjoy that a lot. I think Max Schreck's performance, like anytime he's on screen, is really fascinating, because he's just like such an interesting looking guy. I'm not even counting these in makeup. So it's like you have the like, I don't know, there's just like this real creepiness to it that I really enjoy. It is funny because like this is probably actually like out of the 3 like full-on adaptations that we're gonna be talking about over the next couple weeks, it's actually like maybe my least favorite one. And I don't mean really? That in like as an insult. I mean it like one of them has to be like third.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's just like I find this like the performances are great, and this version of the story is like really, it's really like atmospheric, and I really and also because it's older, like I really love how like silent films look, and especially those like older movies from like over 100 years ago, where like the kind of like the colors, yeah, like even like like they look so different, and it looks so old, and like it genuinely feels like you've like uncovered something by like watching them. So like with this, it feels like you just like pulled out like an old videotape and like dusted it off and like put it in, you know. It
feels otherworldly in a way. Like this doesn't take place in reality, and that's something that you see with a lot of German films from that time, especially the German expressionist films, like with Dr. Caligari, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or Der Golem. You know, the German film industry during the 1920s was really quite something. It was very trailblazing, and was really pushing the limits of artistic expression, and which is unfortunate, because then, you know, later on the Nazis would take over, and, you know, they'd transform the film industry into you know, a propaganda machine to promote hateful ideas. Luckily, that's not happening now. We don't have a fascistic regime that is trying to push their hateful ideas through media. Definitely not any real world, you know, to that. But yeah, these silent films and these German silent films definitely had that feel to it. It almost feels like a dream.
Oh,
you know?
No, absolutely.
Like, you know, calling back to our David Lynch series, it's a dream. It's a dream, right? Or in this case, maybe a nightmare, which is fun, because the next film that we're talking about, Nosferatu the Vampyre, opens with Ellen, or Lucy as she's called in that film, having a nightmare.
Yes.
But yeah, there is something otherworldly about this movie, and I think that's why it is so iconic, and I think that's why it still permeates through pop culture, especially going back to what you said earlier about Max Schreck and the way he looks, and with his costume, like the really long like cloak that he wears that's like buttoned all the way to the top, and he has this big nose and ears, and he's got his claws out, you know, his long fingernails, and he just looks like very sinister, and you know, which is definitely in contrast to Dracula, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, who's more of a sexy Dracula, more of a sex symbol, right? Somebody who could take your girl if he wanted to.
Yeah. Even when he turns into a wolf.
Even when he turns into a wolf, especially when he turns into a wolf, Caleb. Like,
oh my God.
You forget there's those furries out there who are into that kind of stuff. I'm not one of them. But I'm not like other film YouTubers. But anyways, but no, he's scary. He's terrifying. He definitely has that sinister quality to him, and I think that's why they made a whole other movie just about Max Schreck and his performance much later, right?
Yeah, well, because that's also the thing is like with a lot of these early films where like there had to be people where it's like how the art with like with like costuming and like with the makeup and everything, where it's like, is this just a freaky looking guy? It's like
he just looks like that. That's just
and it's really cool because it's like it feels, because I think it's really important to always like look at films like through a modern lens, but also like through in the context of like the time they came out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And because it can really like I always think about like with like I think the original Star Wars, I'm not the first person to say this, but like the original Star Wars is like, when you watch it now, I mean, it's still a great movie, but when you watch it through that like in the context of the time, you're like, holy fuck, this is even better. Like imagining like watching it in like 1977, or like Jaws is the same way.
Yeah, I mean, like especially with the original Star Wars, and I don't want to get into a Star Wars discussion. We had a whole episode about why I don't want to like talking about that. But like you have to remember, like at the point that Star Wars came out, like most people had grown up watching Star Trek, right? Which I love the original Star Trek. The original Star Trek is fantastic, but it's that big jump in special effects and whatnot. And I mean, imagine being like, some random, just like, person in the 1920s, like you just got home from your job at the factory, and you're walking through your, smog covered city because, everybody's driving cars now, and you see this film, you're like, what the fuck? What is this freaky shit? Right?
Is this real?
Is this real? Oh no.
Yeah. And it's like, it's really, and that's one thing I do like about because the thing is with vampires is you can tell a lot of different stories with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like because they're very. It's really funny because our friend Steven, he likes to be a little shit sometimes, and he likes to, because one time I said that I was like, I think vampires are the most interesting, like monsters to like make films about, and he like took that out of context and just said, oh, vampires are the most interesting, as if like I want to actually be a vampire. Like that has nothing to do with anything. And it's like
maybe you do, Caleb, I don't know,
but I'm more of like, the thing is, I'm not really a goth though. I'm more of like a little punk boy, man, sort of. I don't know, what am I?
A little punk boy, man.
I'm just a little guy, I guess. So it's like, it's like but like even I can't.
Okay.
I can't talk at all. I'm so sorry.
Maybe take a sip from your coffee.
Maybe we can edit that out, or you can keep it and make me look like a fucking idiot. That's also fine.
It's relatable, Caleb. You're being relatable. So you were talking about how you want to be a vampire when you grow up.
I am grown up. I'm 27, but it's like I don't feel like an adult though, so most of the time. But the thing is, like, I think that with vampires you can tell a million different stories with like what vampires are a metaphor for. So like in Buffy, vampires are a metaphor for like growing up.
Sure.
Like, or at least killing vampires is a metaphor for growing up. But like the vampires in Buffy, they can represent a lot of different shit. But like Count Dracula and like Count Orlok, it's more about like, I wouldn't say like necessarily capitalism in itself, but it's like kind of like the elites like having power over people. Like they're literally like sucking your blood.
Sure.
I mean, come on. Like I feel like I'm getting my blood sucked every time I go to work. It's like, it's this thing where it's like, it can work really well for that kind of thing. And you can do versions where like Dracula is like more heroic because he's not real. So you can like do all sorts of different things with him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just like with like, just look at Batman, right? It's like Batman's usually a billionaire, but absolute Batman, he's not.
Right.
Because you reinterpret characters, you do different things with them. It works. But like with Nosferatu specifically, I think it really is a metaphor for like not only like, and I think the most recent one, I think the misogyny and like violence against women metaphor is very obvious, and I think it's present in the first two as well. Mm-hmm. But I think the main metaphor is about like, rich people like destroying people's well-beings and like destroying towns, and stuff like that, like taking over. You know, even if it's because like you can look at in the actual movie, it's like, oh, it's like the plague and like death and disease, but like, you know, in real life, like, I mean, like, you know, corporations will like get stakes in places, and then they destroy the job market. They make it difficult to get jobs, and then people end up like losing their homes, to having really bad situations, and then they can, you know, might not have health insurance or other stuff like that, and they can end up like, you know, getting really bad health issues, struggling through poverty, struggling with being unhoused, or or even like passing away, or dealing just with other mental health issues because of all of the stress and everything. It's like, you know, it's a thing where like I you know, it's why I think like vampires, there's just so much you can do with them. There's so much you can say, you know, like in my movie that we worked on, I used it as more of like a queer allegory.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, we don't have a choice. This is just who we are, and we got to deal with that, and we got to live like that. Like, you know, and we got to live with this. Not that I'm also queer, so it's like not that like queer people are vampires. It's just a different context of what you can do with that, because it's like, you know, you have like immortal people who can live forever.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, and like the like cultural attitudes towards vampires change throughout time as well.
Yeah,
and I think like your interpretation of you know, vampirism being like an allegory for capitalism or the rich exploiting, you know, that is a more popular modern day interpretation. Also, you know, of it being a queer allegory as well is also a more popular interpretation that's grown up, I think, since like the 80s. I think in part because of the Lestat series, or the Vampire Chronicles, or whatever they're called. I've never read any of them. I've only seen the one movie. I'm sorry, so I could sound like a total ignoramus. It's possible.
I love that word a lot.
Yeah, but I do think, since we're talking about what vampires can and do symbolize, I do think it is important to talk about the problematic interpretations of vampirism.
Yes.
That do exist, and especially in this film, for, you know, it doesn't help that it's a German film, but, you know, you have Max Schreck in this very terrifying, very cool looking makeup and prosthetics, and to us in modern time, we're like, oh, that's just a freaky looking guy.
Yeah.
But in context of early 1900s, you know, early 20th century, like if you showed somebody a picture of somebody with a long nose and big ears and curled fingers, that would have been an anti-Semitic interpretation or representation of a Jewish person. And you know, carrying a plague with rats to a new city, that was another anti-Semitic trope that, you know, that was something that was popular during the plague, was that it was Jewish people who brought the plague over, and that the Jewish people, Jewish diaspora, carried the plague into Europe, and they were to blame for it. So, you know, it is also important to, you know, acknowledge those aspects as well, because that is an unfortunate aspect of, you know, how vampires were interpreted back in the day. It's gone away. Luckily, it's withered away in recent years, more recent interpretations. But that is definitely present here, for sure. And again, the fact that it's a German film, you know, doesn't really help that out either. But no, I like your interpretation much better. Max Schreck is just some evil capitalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like, so I have a question. So like is that like a confirmed, like, how, you know, I know this was like 100 years ago, but like, did people involved in the movie, was that like explicitly like the text is like that's what they were going for, was like being anti-Semitic?
I do not know. I didn't really look into that, but I do know that is, you know, I haven't looked into it. I haven't looked into whether Max or FW Murnau, you know, what they did after World War II, or during World War II, more specifically, I guess. I haven't looked into it. I didn't have a chance to research this. But if you know, if any of our listeners know what happened, leave a comment below, because I would definitely be interested to find out. Of course, I'll probably look into it after we record this. But no, it is just something to like keep in mind, so we don't make those same mistakes again, you know, later on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think me and you are both like really firm believers in like, I think it's important to not. I want to word this in a way where like it can't be misinterpreted what I'm saying. I think it's important to like for example, like if you put like trigger warnings at the beginning of movies, like in content warnings, I think that's perfectly fine. And I think that's important to do, especially with older stuff, because I think it's important like with, you know, movies that have like really bad shit that hasn't aged well in them, whether it be like, you know, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia. I think it's important to like not edit that out. Misogyny also, yeah. Like it's important to not edit that kind of stuff out of like later releases, because I think it's important to acknowledge like this is what this time was and why was that there. I think that is extremely important to always to keep that discussion open, because when you start pretending like, oh yeah, it wasn't really that bad, that's how you end up with, you know, people who are uneducated and don't view like you know, issues like racism or something like that as like a systematic issue that has been happening for decades, hundreds of years, you know, and it becomes a thing where you can just kind of like erase it and pretend it didn't happen at all, and that is very dangerous.
Yeah, or in a way like we get to the point where dog whistles are just kind of looked at and laughed at, right?
Yeah.
And that's a whole other show. That's a whole other podcast about that. We just like talking about movies, but movies are political. Yeah. Movies are political. Yes. Art is political, and it's important to acknowledge that and accept it, because that's just how it is. But yeah, so as much as we do like this movie, as much as we do enjoy it, and I do really enjoy this film quite a bit. You know, that is an aspect of it that is problematic, and that should, you know, obviously anti-Semitism is bad. I shouldn't have to say that, but it is. Yes. But yeah, Nosferatu 1922. There's another performance in here I want to talk about. I want to mention, and I already mentioned her earlier, but I'm going to bring her up again because I really do like her quite a bit. Is Greta Schroeder as Ellen.
Yes.
I just like the way that she looks. I don't know.
Yeah.
She just like if you ask somebody to imagine like what does a silent film actress look like, I feel like Greta Schroeder is like the quintessential like silent film actress. She just looks like she belongs in silent movies. And I love she has those little ringlets in her hair that really tie the whole look together. It's great. And of course her performance is a lot of fun, and it's something that, you know, obviously if you watch these movies it's pretty obvious, but like Ellen is the main character. Like she is the main character of these films, especially more so in the Robert Eggers film with Lily Rose Depp as Ellen. And yes. We also get that in the follow-up or the next film we're going to be talking about with Isabelle Adjani. But yeah, Greta Schroeder is great. What do you think about Greta and her performance and her little ringlets?
Oh, I mean, we love the ringlets, folks. But no, I think that she's phenomenal. Like, I think again, like it's like being a silent film actor has got to be insanely difficult. I mean, I've never done it. I've never been in a silent film. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing about my movies, it's they are not silent. There's a lot of talking in those. So it's like, you know, it's such a difficult task, and I always find it stunning. Like I loved it when we talked about. I am so sorry. I know you have her tattooed on your arm. What is her name? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Louise Brooks.
Louise Brooks. Yes.
Yes.
She's phenomenal. Like when we were talking about her stuff. And you know, and I think what she does in this movie is really fantastic. And I just like I think it adds, you know, because it's like it adds to the because like I think Nosferatu and what we see in the adaptations is like there is this very like twisted, I wouldn't call it a love story, but a like, well, from Orlok's or Dracula, whatever, or Nosferatu, whatever you want to call him, like from his perspective, It is a love story, and from her perspective, it's a horror film. You know, and so it's like, and I think that performance of the of this idea of like being seduced while also being like terrified it's fantastic. It's brilliant, and she comes off great in this movie. I think everyone in this movie does like a really like incredible job, but like I think she very much so. Like, it's just like you just believe it, you know, because it's one of those things where it's like this movie is so atmospheric and otherworldly, as you were saying, that it's like when you see her performance and playing into that, it's like, you know, because it like this movie wouldn't work if she just kind of like stood there, but she's able to have a lot of personality, a lot of emotion on her face and her movements, and it just works. Like, she's great in this.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and some fantastic cinematography, some beautiful shots of Orlok as he's coming out of the coffin, and then he's on the boat and he's getting all those sailors and stuff. Just like really iconic film. And of course there's that iconic scene of Greta on the beach, which was also recreated. It's been recreated in both films, but I think it's best in the Robert Eggers version. He definitely did a really good job in that one. But yeah, Nosferatu 1922, classic film that has stood the test of time, I believe, and is still really good. And I think people should watch it. I think people should check it out. It is in the public domain, so you can watch it anywhere you want. It's on YouTube. But I do definitely recommend the Kino version. Yes. We are not, there it is. We're not sponsored by Kino. That'd be cool if we were. But definitely check it out if you can. There is another version of this movie though, Caleb.
Yes, there is.
There is. Are we talking about the same one?
The one where it ends like 20 minutes early? Or 10 minutes early?
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Because there's an episode of Red Letter Media. I don't remember what it was, where Jay was talking about how the version he like would watch originally, like it would end like 10 minutes early. So there is a cut of the movie that like it ends like when he gets off the boat and is walking around.
It's just like, all right, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I maybe I do remember that. Hold on a second, because I have both of these in my hand. Let me see here. The runtime here 95, the runtime here 75. So maybe this is it. So this version is kind of I'm not controversial, but a little infamous. So it is the Nosferatu. I think it's is this in color? No, it's in black and white, so it's not even tinted. But it's 75 minutes long. Nosferatu. It's the typo negative version. Do you know Typo Negative, Caleb?
The band?
The band, yes. The goth metal band. So this version, which you used to be able to get at Walmart for like $1, features a Typo Negative soundtrack. And so you're watching Nosferatu while like heavy goth music plays in the background.
That's beautiful.
It is quite the experience. This is actually the first version I ever saw as a kid, because I bought it at Walmart for $1. And I watched it. So this film has kind of become a collector's item.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I understand why.
And I don't know how much it goes for now, but I think at one point I saw people paying like $40 for it on like Amazon.
Jesus, that's like almost as much as a Dog's Journey, or that game you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Dog's Life. Before we recorded, we were talking about Dog's Life on PS2. Now, here's one of my favorite things about this version, Caleb. Not only does it have a Typo Negative soundtrack, but you might be curious as to what I'm covering up with my fingers.
I am excited.
It features an introduction from David Carradine.
Oh, why? Why would it be David Carradine?
Because he likes vampires, apparently.
That's cool. He also likes being choked. But
he liked a little too much.
Yeah.
So this version, it is real. I do remember. I remember a few years ago. Of course, it's real.
You're holding it.
Yeah, it's right here. Well, because a few years ago there was like this thing on TikTok, which is the best place to have debates, where people were saying that it wasn't real, that it was like a Mandela effect or something, but it's not. It's here. I have it, and here's the disc. It is real. And this version also exists on YouTube, so you can watch the Nosferatu Typo Negative Typo Negative cut on YouTube if you'd like, if you'd be so inclined
I am
to do
curious
that.
Now.
You are curious?
Yeah.
And if next time you come over, we can watch this with the introduction by David Carradine.
I mean, I'm going to be in town next week for a couple of days. I have no idea if we would have time to do that, but it's fun to imagine we would.
Maybe I'll just lend it to you.
Huh.
Yeah.
That'd be swell. You know what I just remembered is I always forget that you have my copy of Miles Morales.
I do, yeah. Miles Morales Spider-Man. I offered to give it back to you, and you said no.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I was like, I can give it back to you, and you were like, no, just keep it. But I can give it back to you. I played it. I already played it. I'm done with it.
It's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I've beaten it a couple times. It's I like the Spider-Man games. But yeah. Anyway. Speaking of Spider-Man.
Yeah. So up next. So that is Nosferatu 1922.
Yeah.
Up next, Caleb, is Nosferatu the Vampyre, written and directed by Werner Herzog. The original writer, of course, Bram Stoker. Cinematography by George Schmidt-Reitwein. Edited by Beat Menke Yellenhaus. And starring the wonderful, the beautiful, the amazing Isabelle Adjani. And then also a bunch of other people. I don't know. Klaus Kinski. He never did anything bad. Bruno Gans. I'm sorry. That was really tasteless. Starring Isabelle Adjani, Klaus Kinski, Bruno Gans, Roland Topper, Walter Landkist, Marche Gronemann. These Germans with their fucking names. Karsten Bodenis, Beverly Walker, Jacques Dufio, Clemens Schitz, and John Laddie. And my apologies to Clemens Sheets, whatever.
I was like, why did you say Schitz? Oh.
You know, the Germans are known for their sense of humor, so I think it's okay that I made fun of all their names. And it's not like we have a bunch of listeners in Germany for some reason. The synopsis of this film... We actually do, yeah. But, I looked through our analytics. We have a bunch of listeners in Germany. So Guten Tag, Toller. Yeah, we're big in Germany. Guten Tag, Toller, German listeners. The synopsis is: the mysterious Count Dracula summons a happily married real estate agent to his castle to finalize a terrifying deal. Caleb, is this just Nosferatu again? Oh, wait.
I think so. This might be Nosferatu.
Oh, snap. That'll be the sequel. That'll be the sequel for the Robert Eggers film, is Nosferatu. And it'll be, what's his name? Skarsgård on the cover like this.
It should just be Stellan Skarsgård this time.
Right. We're getting a little goofy, guys. We're getting a little goofy.
That's what happens sometimes.
It does happen.
I didn't even make the joke about being Polish. So it's like, you know...
Are you Polish?
Yeah.
You say that like I should know.
No, why would you know that? I said it like so definitively.
All right, we're serious again. Folks. Nosferatu. What year did this come out? 1980 something.
79.
1979. Why did I say 1980? Almost 1980.
There's releases of it that are in the early 80s, so it's kind of confusing. I think originally it's 79.
Yeah, I think the German version was 79, and then I think there's an English version that I think might have come out later. So Nosferatu from Werner Herzog. Is this the first Werner Herzog film we are talking about?
Yeah, it's the first one I've ever seen. So
this is the first Werner Herzog film you've seen?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, I like him. I know him. He was in The Mandalorian.
The best part of season 1.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, so it's like I'm familiar with him and like how goofy he is and like how fun he is.
He is a lot of fun. One of my favorite YouTube videos of all time is when he's talking about the suicidal penguin. He's like, the penguin has succumbed to his madness and ventures off into the wasteland to die. And then you just see this little penguin scuttling away. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Werner Herzog. So so this is your first Werner Herzog movie. You finally popped your Herzog cherry. How do you feel? How do you feel about this movie? What is your impression of Werner Herzog as a filmmaker now that you've seen his movies, or one of his movies?
Very vibey.
Yes, yeah, I would say his movies are vibey.
Like it's like with this film especially. Like I really loved how much it would just like do like an establishing shot and just focus on it for like 20 seconds. Like you don't normally see that a lot, and it's very
slow cinema.
It's like like the scene where the guy is like he's walking to Dracula's castle and like he's like going through like the wilderness and all this stuff and just like really will like focus on like waterfalls and like all this. It's really cool. Like there's lots of like little details he puts in here that I think add to the atmosphere. Like my favorite scene in the movie is whenever there's a bat that crawls in through the window and it's like crawling up the curtain. Like that's really cool. That's like a great little addition. I don't know, it's just like the cinematography is gorgeous, and like just the way that it'll like focus on the established, or even like at the end when it has all the caskets being brought out and just slowly you see them like kind of like filing in and like being carried. I thought that was like really haunting and cool. It's a very haunting movie. Like I don't know if all of his movies feel like this visually, because I haven't seen any other ones, but I was insanely impressed by this, especially just like with how well put together it was.
Yeah, no, his movies definitely do have this vibe. A super underrated Herzog film that he did with Michael Shannon, My Son, What Have Ye Done, is very good. Yeah. And they had
in that when he was still in WWE.
Yeah, and they filmed it in San Diego, and it's actually filmed in San Diego, and they go to the convention center. So you get to see the San Diego Convention Center in it for a minute. We should talk about that sometime. But anyway, yeah, Werner Herzog decided to do a remake of Nosferatu, but he changed all the names back to the original names from the Dracula book, which is kind of confusing. So like Isabel Adjani is not Ellen, she's Lucy, and Count Orlok is now Count Dracula. So that's quite something. Interesting choice. I wonder, I don't know what the reason behind it was, but you know, I guess it works. I don't really think about it.
Yeah, like I guess just because it was supposed to be the original version, it is an adaptation of the book, and it differentiates itself from the original in that way too. And it's like it's not that big of a change, but it is really interesting.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like you like I definitely noticed it a couple times when they called her Lucy. I was like, that's not Lucy, that's Ellen. But you know, it works, and it doesn't, you know, like you said, it doesn't really affect it or whatever. One thing that does affect it, in my opinion, and I think why it makes this film definitely a much different feel, is that I don't know, this feels less like a horror film and maybe more like a tragedy.
Yeah, even like in little details, like I always think about like with this film, or I always think about it, I just watched it. Like, but like one thing I've been thinking about is how whenever they first introduced Dracula or Nosferatu, whatever you want to call him, he just kind of is like just super normal. He just kind of opens the door. He's like, "Oh hey man, you know, like what's up? Come on in. You must be pretty tired." You know, he's just kind of like acting like a normal dude who just looks really strange or different. And then it's whenever, and even like in the scene where he like tastes the blood and then he starts like you know knocking over the chair and like starts like going after him a little bit. It's like it's kind of just like a weird guy. Like it doesn't feel like there's a real this is gonna sound funny because obviously Klaus Kinski is an awful person, and is a pedophile in real life, which I didn't fucking know, and apparently no one knew until after he passed away. That was when it was revealed. But like he just kind of seems like a weird guy who's like as opposed to like a terrifying like vampire. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, this dude invited you in. It's like, hey, I'm gonna suck your blood a little bit. Then it's like, whoa, come on, buddy, get over here. I'm gonna get some of that blood. You know, it's not like, especially like I think the Robert Eggers version is probably like where like he's the most monstrous because he's like fucking falling apart. He's all decrepit and stuff. Yeah. And in this movie, it's like it really does just feel like he is a monster, but it's like he feels like a very like human monster where he's just kind of like you could just have him be like a guy without all the makeup and it would still fit, which I think is really fascinating to think about. And it's like I don't know, I find the way that they portray him in this really fascinating. I was really like the second he opens the door, he's not like come in, oh, welcome to my boat. He's just like, yeah, hey, what's going on? Come on, man. Like you want some like some beer or something? Like I don't know, man. I got some Modelo's in the fridge.
There's some bratwurst on the grill. Dracula in this film is definitely, like I said, much more tragic. I feel like he's a much more tragic figure than he is in the other two. And a little, maybe like a little more romantic. I'm not saying like I'm not saying he's like hot or anything, but he's it definitely feels more like he is in love with Isabelle Adjani, which completely understandable. Whereas in the other films, it definitely feels like a very dangerous, like lustful infatuation, right? Like I feel like Dracula probably just wants to sit down and like have a cup of tea and talk about life. And then in Nosferatu, it's more like, no, he's gonna like, you know, suck your blood and drain you and turn you into a husk of a human being, you know. So this movie definitely has a much more different vibe than the other than the other film, for sure. Which maybe is why I like it so much. I really do like this film quite a bit, and I've seen it a couple times. I know I saw it once when I was a lot younger on VHS, and then I've seen it twice more recently. And I think the more I watch it, the more I actually do really like it.
No, I love it. I think it's brilliant. You know, it's interesting because I wanted to follow up on your point where you're saying that Dracula feels more tragic. Is in this movie, it feels like being a vampire. It feels like a curse. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because like when it gets passed on at the end to the fucking guy, I can't think of like his character's name is Thomas, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Like where he gets it, he becomes a vampire at the end of this version, which is unique to this version. Like this is not in the other two. And he becomes a vampire at the end, and then he's just kind of like, oh, I gotta go do vampire stuff. But I mean, after a really funny comedic bit where he keeps telling that guy to arrest.
To arrest Van Helsing?
To arrest Van Helsing, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that scene was hilarious. And then he just goes off into the distance and it's like, oh, he's just gonna go do Dracula shit like somewhere else. And it's like it's a really tragic ending. It's a because the ending of Nosferatu is always tragic, but it's like it has an added layer to this one. Where
it definitely has
like this is continuing.
Yeah, it's definitely a very pessimistic ending, which I would expect nothing less from Werner Herzog. But yeah, because he's like, no, the vampire continues. You know, it never stops, it never ends, right? So yeah, but no, definitely like I feel like this is much more different than the other two versions. Enough so that it is worth checking out. I think it stands on its own for sure.
Oh yeah, and I love this version. Like I'm actually like kind of mad at myself for not watching it sooner, because I think it's really brilliant. It's one of those. It's not even like it is creepy, but like even like last night, because I watched half of it last night and half of it this morning, and I want to clarify. I don't think that's how movies should be watched. I think you should watch them in one sitting, but whatever. Sure. You know, it was a weird day yesterday. I had a fucking insane migraine the entire time I was watching the other Nosferatu. I don't think I brought that up, but I powered through.
The way it was meant to be seen.
Yes. But with this one, you know, it's like I really like looking at it. Like I know that sounds goofy because like you watch movies, you know, like, yeah, it's the kind of movie you watch. Right. But it's like, you know, it's like, but I just found myself like so encapsulated, especially with like his exteriors. Like I just felt like I just love like looking at like the nature and the waterfalls and like just the weird. I mentioned the caskets earlier, but like the thing it reminded me of is I think it was probably like it looked like a bunch of ants like carrying food, like the way it was filmed and like framed. And I thought that was really cool. I found it very unsettling, and I'm just like, fuck, like how do you do a shot like that? That's gorgeous, you know, and spooky. And it's so important to think about these things because like I think one thing that people miss in film a lot now is that film is like a visual medium, and you've got to find ways to make it look interesting in a way that fits the story, obviously. But like, you know, it's I remember I was talking about the movie Climax, which I know me and you were both really big fans of.
Yeah.
And there's the scene near the end of the movie where it turns upside down. It's super cool, super trippy, like it's a fucking great movie. And I was talking to somebody about it. I was like, yeah, the camera like turns upside down for the last like 15 minutes. It's so sick. And he's like, well, why does it turn upside down? It's like first of all, it fits in the movie because they're on drugs. Yeah. And everyone's freaking out in that movie. Number one. But also number two, it's like because it's visually fucking interesting. Like I think it sucks when people get weird about cameras moving. Like just like do interesting stuff with editing, with visuals, and this movie does that. Like where it's like it's just so, you know, I keep thinking about all the images in my head because they're memorable. Like I'm not gonna lie, I watched Mortal Kombat 2 yesterday. This is the second time I'm bringing this up. I mean I liked that movie a lot. I don't remember the cinematography in it or like interesting shots. You know, I thought when Johnny Cage like kicked people.
Yeah. No, I mean this movie is visually interesting as opposed to a lot of other films. I saw a video the other day of this woman. She was talking about an older film, and she was like older, like in the 2000s, and she was saying how like the cinematography, like she said something that I thought was really interesting, which was like this was lit so you could see it, right?
Yes, and nothing is lit like that now.
Yeah, I mean it's like, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like cinematography, despite the fact that everyone talks about it, I feel like is super underappreciated in a lot of sense, and especially good cinematography. I feel like there's a lot of people who don't know what good cinematography actually is.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
But like with this movie, you have a lot of scenes, a lot of frames where, it just looks like a painting or something, right? It looks like a picture that could exist on its own. And of course you have a lot of that in the previous film as well. Of course, a lot of images, a lot of stills from it have become memes. But in this film, there's just a lot of moments that are just so beautifully shot, beautifully framed, very well lit, in a way that matches the feeling and the vibe of this movie. So that it makes it actually very interesting. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that Werner Herzog is a good filmmaker and actually cares about what he's doing and isn't just showing up to collect a check. So.
Yeah, that is. And look, and I want to say like anything else, I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with like viewing like filmmaking as like your job.
Right. For most people on a set, it is.
Yeah, but like, you know, that being said, it's also like, you know, it'd be cool if you cared a little bit at least, but just a little bit, you know, because I think the best art is from films where the filmmakers give a fuck, and it's not like, you know, I think a lot of times when you just hire somebody to like direct a random movie, you know, they're you know, you want there to be as much passion as there can be, but a lot of times there's not. You know? Yeah, that's just the reality of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, having that passion, having that love. And that's why AI cannot make art, because AI doesn't have a passion. It doesn't have love. AI is not real. It's not a real person. It's an algorithm, you know? So like, no, AI cannot make film. It cannot make music. It cannot make art. You know, it can make an approximation of that. You can give it a prompt and say, hey, make a scary horror movie with a scary, spooky vampire guy. And it'll give you some mush, some fucking, you know, nonsense, but it won't have that same care and emotion and feel that somebody like Werner Herzog has, or Robert Eggers has, you know, or someone like F.W. Murnau had, you know, when they made this film, because they love the art and they love their craft. And that's why art needs to be made by humans, not machines.
Yeah, well, it's like, okay, I'm not the first person to say this, and there's also not the first mention of SpongeBob on this podcast today.
Okay.
Like, you know that episode of SpongeBob where like he has the Krabby Patty making competition with Neptune?
Mm-hmm.
And Neptune's just making them all magically, and they all taste disgusting, but SpongeBob makes the one, and it's like really good.
Yeah.
That's it. That's literally...
No,
exactly.
Absolutely. Like having that care and having that love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of love, do you know who I love, Caleb?
Me.
Well, besides you.
Oh, who?
Isabelle Adjani.
I was actually gonna talk about her next.
And we mentioned this before the podcast, but she is in a very iconic horror film that became very popular in the last 10 years or so, which is fantastic. And that movie is Possession. She is great in that. Seen. You need to see it.
Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Maybe. I would love to talk about it on here too. I would love to talk about it at some point. And that filmmaker in general, whose name is escaping me right now. I know I'm bad. But I have a bunch of his movies. But yeah, Isabelle Adjani as Lucy. Much more capable, I think, than the previous film, even though I talked about how much I liked Greta. But like, she actually gets shit done. Like, she's the one who's like, we need to kill this fucking guy. We need to get Dracula because he's fucking our shit up, man. You know?
Yeah.
She is, I mean, first of all, she is just so fucking beautiful. Just one of the most beautiful women who's been photographed. But also she's really good. She's also a really talented actress. And her performance as Lucy in this movie is really wonderful and really captivating. And I really liked it. And I want to see more of her movies. I've seen, I think, maybe like 2 or 3. This one, Possession, and I think I saw another of her films as well. But she's great. What is your feelings of Isabelle, and how do you feel about her performance in this film?
It's funny. I have a couple different. First of all, I always say this is a funny movie because I know this is a movie me and you that I'm about to reference that me and you really love, and a lot of people are more mixed on.
Sure.
But Last Night in Soho. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of it. I actually am enjoying the Edgar Wright movies he's doing, where it's like it doesn't quite feel like Edgar Wright, but he's still making like good movies. It's like really interesting to me. I know that sounds really weird and kind of goes against my own opinions a little bit, but I'm like, I love Last Night in Soho, and I thought Running Man was fun. But like with Last Night in Soho, I've always said that when Anya Taylor-Joy is introduced, that they frame it in a way where you're supposed to like fall in love with her when you see her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about Isabelle Adjani in this movie. And I feel like in this film, I actually think she's my favorite version of that character out of these 3 movies.
I would agree.
Just because I love her performance. Yeah. And like, I love Lily Rose Depp. I want to clarify, like, because the as spoiler, the 2024 version is my favorite version.
Okay.
But with this one, I find her performance, it's so like hauntingly beautiful because they always frame her in such a like angelic and like beautiful way. Yeah. And then her actual like performance and character, it just feels, there's this immense like tragedy to it. It feels this movie does have a very romantic vibe to it, just because of how like tragic it is. It's like, it's because I think whenever you make a movie that has this like kind of gothic aesthetic, it's very easy to associate that with romance just on its own. Yeah. And so whenever and just the way this is framed, it's every scene she's in, it's like you can't keep your eyes off of her. And her performance, she's like magnetic in this, like some sort of Magneto. And it's like that was a stupid joke. Anyway,
it's fine.
I'm testing bits on this episode, so
okay.
It's like
yeah. Caleb is working on his stand-up routine.
Yeah, I've been thinking about actually doing stand-up recently, but that's regardless of the point. It's just because I've been watching too much Hacks.
Yeah. Okay.
But she's incredible in this. Like, and props, serious props to her, obviously, for her performance and to the writing and directing, but the way she's framed in every scene, the way she's lit, the way she's costumed, and the costuming in this movie is fantastic too. Everything looks so, just like it's like you're watching a really fucked up like fairy tale, where it's just like everything is so gorgeous, but like, I don't know, tragic. I don't know, maybe I'm just saying words, but like I'm just like, but this movie is just like, her performance is breathtaking in this. I think she's the best performance in the movie. And one of my favorite performances in any of these, for sure. I love her in this. It's funny because I wasn't familiar with her. I also definitely, for some weird reason, and this is very embarrassing, I think I misheard somebody. It was probably, I misheard you one time or something. I definitely thought that it was Isabella Rossellini until I started watching this, and then I was like, that's not Isabella Rossellini.
No, it's not. It definitely wasn't me.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been you then. I must have heard that somewhere else, or just misheard something.
No, Isabella Rossellini in 1979. What was she doing? I don't know. I don't know if she started acting yet. Yeah, this movie is. Yeah, I mean, Isabelle is amazing in this film, and this movie is very beautiful. And also, like, one of my favorite parts of this movie is towards the end when, like, you see the town is just falling apart. And there's rats everywhere, and there's coffins in the streets, and you know, Isabel comes across those like kind of aristocratic looking people, like they're dressed really nicely, and they're having like their final meal together in the street, and the table is covered in rats. It's like, that is just so dreamlike. You know, it's just such an eerie, unsettling kind of thing. And that's something I always really like in horror films, is when you kind of see like a society kind of fall apart because of horrors. You know, I think that's really interesting. I always think that's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I found that too. In general, the rats kind of freaked me out how many of them there were in this one. I was like, I'm not afraid of rats. And sometimes because of where I work, I have to like, I see mice like not like infrequently. Yeah. Because I work somewhere where I want to clarify, I don't work in like a super shitty place that's like overrun with like vermin, but it's like where I work, there's like a bunch of like nature around it. So it's like, it's really funny because it's so obvious where I work if you know me, like, I mean, if you know me personally, but it's like, I love how like the way I make it sound, it's like, what the fuck does he do exactly?
Well, I mean, and anywhere, and I feel like this is something that anybody who's worked in food service knows, is that if you have food around, the animals are going to show up, you know, as long as it's not an infestation, right? That's when it becomes an issue. But like, yeah, I mean, I've worked in kitchens before where like, yeah, we found a mouse, you know, took it out back, and they killed it. I never want to kill mice or rats, even, you know, just let them go somewhere else. But you know, they usually do. They use the sticky paper, and once you're on there, you can't get them off. You know, they're pretty much dead. But yeah. Anyways, like a lot of the rats in this film, unfortunately, a lot of them were not treated well. They were like hand painted, some of them, because they not all of them were white, so they had to like make them white, and that didn't go over very well. The stuff on set with the rats, like, that's just and you know, and you can, like, it was a different time yourself until you're blue in the face. Sure. But it's like you don't treat animals like shit if you're gonna have them on set. Have people who know how to handle them. You know, just don't be abusive towards animals. But don't be abusive to anybody on set, actually. Unless Steven is on set. Then...
Yeah, well, like, that's gonna happen. Sorry, that's me. Yeah, that's really rude. He's always invited. He has an open invitation that he doesn't take.
Yeah, well, someday, Steven, someday. Does he listen to this podcast?
No, of course not.
Okay. Well, if he ever does, you're always welcome on my set, Steven.
And mine also.
Yeah, which I may be on a set sooner or later. Who knows?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anthony will return in Avengers Doomsday.
Yep. I am best friends with Joe Russo, so
yeah, that's the one you're friends with too.
Yeah, it's the Avengers one, and not the one who everybody gets mad at on Twitter. Anyways, Nosferatu, 1979. Do we want to talk about Klaus Kinski at all? Like, he does a good job. He is good in this film.
Look, this is what I'll say is Klaus Kinski does a very good job at being a monster pretending to be a man, which is probably not very much of a performance for him.
Yeah, he's great at being like a creepy guy.
Yeah, it's like, because I remember that you didn't know about this stuff with him until we were doing the pre-episode stuff.
Well, I've never really looked into him. Like, I've only ever seen him in Herzog films, and I know that he and Herzog hated each other. Well, they didn't hate each other, but they got in fights. There's a famous film about their relationship, a famous documentary about their relationship and how they were constantly
called Overnight.
Overnight. No, I think it's called My Friend Klaus or something. It's my best friend. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, they would like actually get in like physical altercations on set. Like they would start, you know, punching each other and stuff. Which would have been a lot of fun to see. Yeah. But no, he does do well in this. He's very good in this, and he's also good in the other movies like Agir, Wrath of God, and then of course one of my favorite Herzog films, which is Fitzcarraldo.
Oh, you were, yeah.
Where they dragged a real actual boat up a fucking mountain.
Yeah, I'll never forget. This is like real. This is before me and you were actually friends. Because for those who don't know the lore, me and Anthony knew each other for like a year before we were actually like friends.
Yeah.
But like we were friendly with each other, and you trained me at work. Because I started using your register without asking, but we were used to work in a movie theater together back in the day, and we would have. I never got my favorite movie on my name tag. It would have been Clerks because I thought that would have been funny. But right. At one point you had Fitzcarraldo on yours, and I remember asking you, I was like, "What is that?" And you were like, "It's about a bunch of guys dragging a boat up a mountain."
Yeah, and it was beautiful.
Like, I was like, "Cool."
It's a great movie. Maybe we'll do a Werner Herzog episode. I think we should.
I think we should. I'd like to talk about his like documentaries.
His documentaries are fascinating. Yes,
we never talk about documentaries anymore on here. We've talked about like Jodorowsky's Dune, and maybe like a couple others.
Yeah. I like documentary. I saw a documentary recently, didn't I? Or maybe not. But yeah, it would be fun to talk about documentaries. I especially love music documentaries.
Those are really good.
Yeah. But anyways, Nosferatu 1979. Is there anything else we want to say about this movie before we wrap it up? Before we throw it in the bag?
Do you like it when they say they talk about killing Dracula and they keep saying, if he misses the cry of the cock?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that made me laugh every time. I know what they mean, but it's just funny.
So I'm assuming that you watched the English version then.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you watched the English or the German version, because there are two different versions, and both are fine. But the first version I saw was the English version, and then this morning I watched the German version, which is just the movie in German but with English subtitles.
Okay, for sure. And is it different actors dubbing over in English?
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same actors, because I know Isabel and Klaus both knew English. They both had been in American films. Yeah. But the other ones, I don't know.
Is it like those old Italian horror movies where they film it in like 4 different languages?
See, you're asking me stuff that like I don't know because I didn't research.
I'm sorry.
Which I usually do. I try to research. No, it's mostly my fault because we moved the recording up because I wanted to have tomorrow free. So it's my fault actually. But yeah, I don't know if they filmed like just 2 different versions simultaneously. I don't think they did. But that is something that has been done in the past.
Because there were a couple times where I noticed that sometimes the lines didn't quite line up with the mouths moving.
That would have been the reason, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Nosferatu 1979, really good, very good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Both are good. Yeah, you should watch both of them. Do like we did. Watch both of them at once, at the same time.
Simultaneously, you have 3 screens. Watch every version of Nosferatu at once.
And a 4th screen where you watch the typo negative version.
Yes, so. And a 5th screen where you watch the fucking. There was like there's been a couple Nosferatu movies that like aren't considered like in the original.
There's one with Doug Jones.
I was gonna say, which that's cool as fuck. Yeah. I love Doug Jones.
Yeah, and I thought you were gonna say have another screen where you're watching the SpongeBob episode.
I was like, should I say that as a joke? And I decided not to. But it'll just be that screen will be off first.
Just loop it.
Yeah, just loop it. Yeah, it's but no, I really dug the Werner Herzog one. And it makes me want to, again, I gotta go get more into his stuff, because like I always think about like those filmmakers where it's like you're aware of them, but then you don't see their stuff, and then like I'm a big fan of getting into a filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
I cannot think of his fucking name off the top of my head, but who's the freaky guy who did like Crimes of the Future guy? And I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't. I feel so silly that I can't think of it. It's David Cronenberg. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
David Cronenberg. Like I always think about how I'd never seen any of his films, and I've seen like 15 of his films now. I'm pretty sure, because he's directed a shit ton. I'm a big fan of his stuff. He's a cool guy. So it's like Werner Herzog. Want to get more into his stuff. get into the psychotic penguins. You know,
the psychotic penguins who venture off into nothingness, to the wastes, to wither away and die. And then I love when he asks the guy, like the actual like penguin expert who's there, he's like, "Can penguins suffer from madness?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I guess so."
Yeah.
Sure. Sure,
That's
weird
beautiful.
German man. All right. Well, that has been another fun-filled episode of the Viva Film Podcast. We will be back next time with more episodes on more Nosferatus. And if this is your first time watching or listening to our episode, please subscribe and please subscribe and like and comment. And because we love doing these episodes and we'd love to have you here with us.
Yeah. And don't forget to smash that like button.
And smash the like button and all that other nonsense. And follow our affiliate codes in the descriptions. I'm just kidding. We don't have any. Not yet. But if anybody wants to, let us know. My name, it's Anthony.
And my name is Caleb.
And we'll see you next time. Good night.